Did you really think I wouldn't have more Nociel videos? Hello and welcome everyone to today's video where we'll be taking a look at the updated Nociel deck from G-BT07. This one is a little bit overdue, but I only got to testing it a couple of weeks ago and I've actually been really enjoying it. So my problem with the old Nociel deck before G-BT07 was that it kind of felt very repetitive and linear, while this one with the rescue support has actually been really fun. So I'm really happy with it and I'm enjoying it a lot. So let's crack right into it, and then at the end I'll show you a couple of variations. Well, mostly just the Gabriel variation because I know people ask for that, but then there's some cards that I can tell you that you can swap around if you want. Like this is kind of built towards my personal preference as well, because I've really enjoyed some of the new cards that I've put in. So getting into the deck, I'll just put it on the side. First off, we have the starter, which is Hope Child Turiel. So Turiel's skill is obviously Forerunner, and then you can come as one if your Vanguard is an Angel Feather and put into the soul and take a card from your hand, put it into your damage zone, and then choose any card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. So you can even choose Counterblasted damage. This one's the best starter for Nociel in my opinion, because we don't run that many grade 3s, and because of that it's better to run her in case you damage like a grade 3 before you ride it, obviously, so then you can search it out from your damage zone. So that's why you run Turiel as a starter. She's really nice. Azrael is also fine, but I just prefer her for Nociel, obviously, because the deck doesn't rely on GB1 as much, so you kind of want to just skip around and try to get this Nociel as fast as you can. So this is the MVP of the deck, which is the grade 3 Nociel, Love Sniper Nociel. So her skill, well, she has two skills. One is when you ride her, you can take a card from your hand and put it into your damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. And then when a Nociel gets put into your damage zone, you can counterblast one, and if that Nociel that was put into the damage zone is still face up, you can put it into your hand, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. So this skill loops, and it also activates during your opponent's turn. I think a lot of you already know it from having experienced the despair of facing the Nociel matchup, so I don't have to say too much. If a Nociel goes in the damage zone when you take damage from an opponent's attack, you can use it. If you do it on your own by putting it through the skills, you can use it. So, and it's very repetitive, but it can deck you out pretty fast, and that's why we run 2 of the Legionnaire grade 3, which is Holy Edge Celestial Malkidel. Now I don't run the Legion mate, so I'm only going to go over her first skill, which is Legion, obviously. You put back 4 cards from your drop zone into your deck and then shove your deck and look for the Legion mate, but we don't run that. We only use her to refresh the deck, sort of, because you can deck out pretty easily, so that's why I run 2 of her. Her other skill is when she attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the middle column, she gets plus 3k, so with a 7k boost, you're hitting for 21k, I guess. So, but most of the time you'll be hitting for more anyway due to Broken Hearts, but I just run her to basically prevent decking out as fast as this deck does. So that's literally the only reason she's there. You could run 1 Legion mate if you want to, but I chose not to. But yeah. Now moving on to the grade 2s, we obviously have 4 of Love Machine Gun Nociel. Her skill is pretty simple. When you call her, you can take a card from your hand, put it into damage zone, and choose a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. So when you use her skill and you put a Nociel into the damage zone, and then you take one to your hand, then you can use grade 3 Nociel skill to counterblast 1 other damage, take that Nociel back to your hand, and then top deck a damage. So it's a nice little plus play. And it's Nociel, you want to max out the Nociels obviously to use grade 3 Nociel skill, so that's why we max out literally any of the possible Nociels. Now next up, our next grade 2 is the MVP, Nurse of Broken Heart. So Nurse of Broken Heart is really good, as we all know. She has a GB1 skill. When a card goes to your damage zone, both she and your Vanguard get plus 2k. This ability stacks, so basically if you damage check 5 times in one turn, then she'll get plus 10k and your Vanguard gets plus 10k. Simple as that, very easy to abuse and super good. And then the last grade 2, I run 4 Black Slice Harut. If you want, you could cut 1 for a Legion mate, but I chose not to. So you could cut 1 for the Legion mate if you wish, but for now let's go over her skill. So her skill is an Amber, well, it's an Amber style skill, so when it attacks the Vanguard on GB1, if it's boosted, you can counterblast 1. If you do, you look at top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 to your damage zone face up, the other one in the bottom of your deck, and then choose a face up card from your damage zone and call it to Rearguard Circle. So, and it doesn't have to be a free Rearguard Circle. So she's really good with one of the grade 1s, one of the new grade 1s that we'll go into, so that's why I run her. And generally I've noticed that she's actually pretty nice with Nociel. I never really noticed it before, but now after playtesting it I'm actually really enjoying it, so that's why she's there. Moving on to the grade 1s, we obviously run 4 of the big buck grade 1 Nociel, so this is what makes this deck not budget whatsoever, which is this very card. Her skill is when you guard with her, you can take a card from your hand, put it into your damage zone, and then you choose a card from your damage zone, put it to your hand. Now, I will say this immediately, that yes, this is a completely necessary card. You cannot, like, Gabrielle could go without her, but Nociel cannot. Like, Nociel must play her. And, I mean, obviously this is a Nociel deck, but this card is so good because you can guard with it, and then put a Nociel into your damage zone, take any other card from your damage zone into your hand, use her skill, +1, put this Nociel back to your hand, and then top deck a damage. So, and from those swaps, Broken Heart will put up her power and add power to your Vanguard during your opponent's turn, so that's so good, and it's always been really good because of that, and Nociel just makes it even better. So we have to play 4, it's insanely good. You could get away with 3, but 4 is definitely optimal. And now finally, we have 4 of the new Rescue Perfect Guard, which is Dr. Royd Remnon. So her skill is, well, Perfect Guard, and then when you guard with it, you can +1 on GB1. If you have a face-up Remnon in your damage zone, you can pay the cost, and if you do, you rescue 1. So you heal 1 and take 1 damage. So this is really good because you can heal damage and then potentially top deck a Nociel, and then if you top deck a Nociel, then you get to use grade 3 Nociel skills, basically +1 off of her skill, and like she costs +1, but you can just rescue off the +, so basically she doesn't actually cost anything. The only downside to her is that she has to have a face-up copy in the damage zone. That way you can only really use 3, but then you could use grade 1 Nociel to swap out the last one, then guard 1 without using the skill, so it's kind of like that. It's hard to come up to choose which Perfect Guard to use for this deck. I like Remnon best for now, but honestly any of the other Perfect Guards are fine as well, so like I could play either of them, but I've chosen Remnon for now, and I think she's actually quite alright. We play 3 Stride Fodders. You could play 4, but then you could cut one of the Haruts, or maybe one of the grade 1. But I feel like 3 Stride Fodders is fine because I play a few more grade 3s than before, so I like to stay at 3. Next up, we have one of my favorite new grade 1s, which is Black Bomber Malik. Her skill is when she's called from the damage zone, she gets the rescue 1 skill that at the end of the battle she boosted or attacked. If the battle is one where she attacked the Vanguard, you can rescue 1, so you heal damage and take a damage. Really good because she synergizes with the Nociel Stride pretty well, because you can basically have her on the field without her skill and then put her into the damage zone from the Stride and then put it back in and then have her do the rescue, and then like even if you make a column like this, you're going to be doing double rescue. If you get stands on that, then you're going to be doing even more rescue, which can actually provide a really good combo. So you can actually play more of her. 2 is fine, but you can actually max it out by taking out the grade 1 that I'm going to go into next. But I thought that for a public showing I should keep the build more standard rather than wonky. So the next grade 1 that you could take out if you want to max out Malik is 1000 Ray Pegasus. Pegasus' skill is on Vanguard and Rear Circle. If you have a card, if a card goes to your damage zone, it gets +2k. So it's same as Broken Heart, except doesn't give power to Vanguard. It's kind of a hard to get common, so you could max out Malik instead. Or what I've also tried is putting Nurse with Smash Heart. But the risk you run with Smash Heart is that you can, you can basically just deck out even faster than before, and 2, you know, I feel like if you're not going to play this, you might as well play full-on Malik, because Malik is super good, and I might even prefer the 4 build, but I feel like this one gives you a bit of early game stability, so you don't get rushed. Like if you ride this, then your opponent isn't going to be rushing you as much, because every time you take damage you get 2k power, so that kind of thing does add to it, so that's why I play the 2 Pegasus. Now on to the triggers. The trigger lineup has one very big weakness, however we play a lot of really good triggers. So the first one of the triggers is a stand trigger, which is Happy Bell Nociel. It's a Nociel, so that's already self-explanatory, but let's go into the skill really quick. So when you have an angel for the Vanguard, you can, it gets the skill that you put her into the soul, choose an angel for the card from your hand, put it in the damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone, put it to your hand. So again, you can use your skill, put a Nociel in, and then put any card back to your hand, and then use Love Sniper Nociel skill to put the Nociel that you put into the damage zone back to your hand. So we maxed out the Nociels, we have 4 of each one that you can possibly have, so that's very obvious on why we do that. Next up we have the best stand Dr. Royd Referos. In English, he's still at 4, so you run him at 4. In Japanese, you can replace this with vanilla stands or with crits, whichever you prefer, but I would not recommend draws. Anyway, in case you still don't know his skill, he has an act. You can +1 and put him on top of your deck, choose 2 cards from your damage zone, put them on top of your deck, shuffle your deck, and then for each card you put with this effect back to your deck, you top deck that many cards from the top of your deck to your damage zone face up, and then you draw a card. So you counterblast 1, put them back, choose 2, put them back, shuffle, 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 and then top deck 2 and draw 1. So basically it's a loop that you can do forever if you have low enough cards in deck, and then Broken Heart gets insanely broken power. So the final of the triggers that aren't heals is the new stand trigger, Surgery Angel. And yes, we do run 12 stands, and I know the inherent weakness of that, but let's go over his skill first. So he has a Rescue 1 skill at GB1. At the end of the battle that he boosted, you can counterblast 1 and put him on top of your deck, shuffle your deck, and then Rescue 1. Now, this card is really good because I can always choose to have a column like this, attack with it, then put this back, and then, oh look, I top deck a stand, let me do this again. And then if I have multiple of them, then you know, you're just going to keep standing my Broken Hearts, and that's really what I would like. Now, yes, I do run 12 stands, and the weakness, the biggest weakness of this is that my opponent can no-guard at 4 damage safely. So I don't run the risk of, you know, I don't have that threat of, you know, double crit when they're at 3 damage and winning the game. However, this really provides a lot of threat throughout the entire game, and I think it can stall out games pretty well. I don't recommend, for your own mental safety and your opponent's mental safety, to spam Refrost too much, because honestly, I feel like this deck can get away without spamming it too much. I just use Refrost nowadays to basically as an unflipper. Like, I'll spam it like 5 times, like I'll get 5 swaps, so then, or like 6 swaps, so I have like magic numbers, but I'm not gonna go like loop this for 20 minutes just for my opponent to Perfect Guard or Denial Griffin everything. So, you know, don't waste time at official events, don't be a dick, basically. And then the final trigger is obviously Sunny Smile Angel. Well, it has the Forerunner skill, and when it boosts, it gets 3k power and goes back to your deck at the end of turn. So that's the main deck, and we're gonna go to the G-Zone next, and I'll show you the, I guess, the way you could build this with Gabriel, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, because I don't feel like the Gabriel brings too much to the deck, but we'll go over it anyway. Alright, now, getting to the G-Zone, it has changed quite a bit, obviously, since the last deck profile, because we have adapted the 16 G-Zone rule. So we now can afford to run 4 of the Nociel Stride, which we will get into in a second. And I believe that right now, because of the 16 G-Zone expansion and because of the rescue support, she's actually that much better. So her skill is the following. At the end of the battle, she attacked the Vanguard. If your heart is a Nociel, you can choose 2 of your rear guards and put them into your damage zone face up. Then you choose 2 cards from your damage zone, you call them to separate rear guard circles, and then if the ones that you called have Nociel in their name, then they get plus 5k each until end of turn. So that way, your grade 2 Nociels become 13k attackers, your grade 3 Nociels become 16k attackers, stuff like that. She's really good, like I mentioned, with Malik, because she refreshes her skill, and therefore I like to abuse Malik with her. And generally she's a really good stride now. You can basically go into her all the time, and then rarely you'll go into some of the other strides, the first of which is Black Seraph Gabriel. So, her skill is an act once per turn at GB2, you counterblast 1 in Persona Blast, and she gets 2 skills, the first of which is when a card is put into your damage zone during the battle phase, you choose 2 of your units and they get plus 2k each. And the other skill is Rescue 2, at the end of the battle that she attacked, you choose 2 cards from your damage zone, heal them, and then deal 2 damage to your Vanguard. So, she can be pretty good, but I don't really go into her that much, she's just there for the time when I need to. Like, she gives me a refresh of 2 damage, well, refresh of 1 damage really, because she costs a counterblast 1 herself, but then the little power addition is also a nice little pressure point, which can help to round off the powers of like grade 2 Nociel and stuff like that, so that's why we run her. And then we run 4 Holy Seraph Raphael. Her skill is pretty simple, it's a once per turn GB2 act, you Persona Flip to heal the damage, so sometimes if we get rushed like 5 really early and I'm like I want the damage but at the same time I don't, then sometimes I'll go into the Raphael just to recover a bit. And then the final stride we run is Sabreeze. 1, this is to unlock all like my, so this is to unlock the Broken Hearts, and 2, I feel like Sabreeze is mandatory in everything because it's, while it's not a good thing, not the nicest thing, it's to punish the opponents for being grey stuck. So that way you can ensure a win a bit easier, and that's why I run the Sabreeze. And yeah, so moving on to the G-Guards, we run 3 Holy Seraph Studio. Her skill is when you G-Guard with her, you can counterblast 1, and then you look at the top card of your deck, and then you can put on top or bottom, and then you rescue 1, so you heal 1 damage and take 1 damage. So that way, you can look at the top card and then choose if you want to keep it on top before rescuing it, And this is really good because if you have a Nociel at the top of your deck, when you're in the grade 3 Nociel, you're basically going to add it to hand. So it's really, really nice. It's Counterblast 1, but you can rescue that Counterblast, so it's technically free. And so she's a really, really good G-Guardian, but I just run 3 of her because we need space for some other stuff. The first of which is Holy Seraph Autofiel. So her skill is when you guard with her, if you have 4 more damage, she gets plus 5k shield. So she's just a go-to 20k shield basically. I just run her for those rare occasions. And the final G-Guard that we have is Dark Element Dismal. So it has resist, and when you guard with it, you can choose one of your rear guards, and until end of turn, that unit cannot be hit and cannot be chosen by effect of your opponent's cards. Use this on Broken Hearts, grade 2 Nociels, and stuff like that you want to, you know, not get popped, obviously. So the one Dismal is there. You don't obviously go into that much. The one you go into the most is Suriel, but against some matchups you'll definitely go into the Dismal. So this is the Nociel G-Zone. So here is the Gavriel alternative. So we took out the Legions and one of the Haruts. Now the reason why you would even run Gavriel is for those matchups that really rush phase hard, like Aqua Force and Nova Grappler, stuff like that, because Gavriel's GB2 grants you the additional defensive power, because you already have that from Broken Heart, but if you can't get it, then you could go into Gavriel to protect yourself from the annoying rush that Aqua Force and stuff like decks like that can give you, but then you lose out on the ability to refresh some of your deck in case you're going to deck out, because this deck still goes through your deck really fast because it's Nociel. So this is the alternative. I know some of you have asked for it and I hope it is satisfactory. You could also change this into Nurse of Smash Heart, but not sure if I would recommend it too much because, again, you're going through the deck really fast already through Nociel, so it's not really that necessary. So this pretty much wraps it up for the Nociel deck profile that I know a lot of you guys asked for, because I do playtest this deck quite a lot and I really do enjoy it now. It's much more fun in my opinion than it was before, and you know, Angel Veil is going to get support again in the first set of Vanguard G next, so I'm interested in what they're actually going to support. I guess so Nociel won't be supported at all, I guess, but I'm sure Celestials will get some support and maybe even a new archetype will begin as well. But for now, this is a really strong deck and obviously one of the strongest decks in the format currently. So if you want to pick up a very strong and fun deck, then I do recommend Nociel, but be warned, it's pretty damn expensive. So that's pretty much it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.